Yo, what up? How you guys doing out there today? This is your boy Retro Beast. I'm here with my boy Jeremy. We're here to present you our NBA morning shoot around for Wednesday, August 5th. If you're new to this channel, please make sure and click the subscribe button below. This week you can watch all of our NBA, NFL, and MLB videos. If you haven't come and checked out our website here at dfscheatsheet.com, you're absolutely missing out. We have all the tools to help you compete with the pros day in and day out, including a complete optimizer, tons of content, daily FanDuel and DraftKings cash lineups. Hey, we're truly a one-stop shop for all your DFS needs. So check out the site, dfscheatsheet.com. Say what up, Jay. How you doing, bro?
What's up, bro? How you doing, man? We got good night of baseball, cash line fire, GPP line I threw in our Discord chat. That was fire. I mean, if you didn't watch the videos we did for MLB today, you missed a lot of stuff. I mean, we nailed almost every single pick that we made. So basketball's been hot, baseball's been hot. We got a PGA article up right now with core plays for the PGA Championship this weekend that starts on Thursday. We're on fire, man.
Yeah, for sure, bro. Good night tonight. Overall MLB, a cash line went off both sites for sure. So a good one. So I'm ready to talk some basketball, man. I'm so happy basketball's back. I literally every day's been a great day for me. I was just telling you the other day that it's the bad thing about basketball is like what happened to me today. I max entered 150 lineups. I ended up having the Nets, they were without Jared Allen. So I'm like, oh, yeah, we're going to like some centers there. We already like centers as it is against Brooklyn, and then you have no Allen in there. So I'm going Brook Lopez. Had about 30 lineups. Nothing crazy, but still, that's still basically 20%. 2 minutes after lock, hey, he's out, and you couldn't switch him out because that was a game that was just about to start. So kind of killed me right there. But overall, I'm really liking the start in the morning and kind of go all day. Give you something to do all day. We haven't had no sports now. Get an opportunity to watch it all day. MLB in the evening. So yeah, man, great time. Sports are back. So excited with everything. All right,
The
man.
best thing that FanDuel did was finally let late swap happen for NBA. They really just didn't have a choice because of how far apart the first game is from the last game. So it just sucks when you get a Brook Lopez. That's the NBA though, man. That late scratch shit, they can't fix everything, I guess.
You know what the thing is usually I would be a lot madder, but this is probably like the 10th time, 20th time it's happened to me. So after a while, you're like, you gotta just take it for what it is. Hey, I've been playing long enough, you know what I
I
mean?
I actually hit you up because I had seen like all over social media the Brook Lopez, and I'm like, damn, how owned is Brook Lopez? And I think you said he was only like 4 or 6% owned, like
He was
nothing
like,
crazy.
yeah.
Yeah,
But it was a good matchup though. They
it
they
was a
must
good matchup.
for sure. So yeah, hey, let's jump into today's slate, man. We got 6 games. Basically every day there's been 5 or 6 games. Like I said, I'm really enjoying the basketball all day. So first game we're gonna jump into, we're gonna go Memphis going into Utah to face the Jazz. Well, it's not going into, but Memphis against Utah.
And you got to start with Jaren Jackson. The news comes out today that he's been ruled out for the rest of the season with a torn meniscus, and I think that opens up value right from jump, right? Because I think that where in the past when you've had guys for Memphis be out, especially the power forward or center position, Brandon Clark's been a really popular choice. I think you can play Brandon Clark, but I'm looking for Gorgie Zhang to get started here with Memphis. I think $3,800 for a paydown spot at center. I know it's not ideal, but if Valanciunas is going to match up against Rudy Gobert, you take a look. Royce O'Neal against Gorgie Zhang, you have to like that quite a bit if that's who's going to play at your power forward spots. So I'm looking at Zhang in tournaments at $3,800. He's listed as a center. He is a guy that I don't know if he'll start. They might start Brandon Clark, and then if Brandon Clark starts, I love Zhang that much more. He should be pretty low owned because he's at this listed as a center, at least on FanDuel. And then you go, back to the top. You got John Morant having a really solid season, man. And if they're gonna get into the playoffs, we've talked about this. I mean, before the virus happened and we took the break, we talked about a lot of Morant, the inconsistency, and we thought maybe it had to do with maybe he's just not used to playing this many games. You look at the last 3 games he's played, 40 minutes, 36 minutes, 39 minutes. They're not limiting the minutes. And yeah, he had 28 fantasy points in his last game against New Orleans in 39 minutes. But you and I always know when you play against New Orleans and you play against Drew Holiday, that guy can match up against point guards and he can make things very frustrating. So this is not the same matchup, especially at the point guard position. They can roll Donovan Mitchell out there, I guess. They can roll Mike Conley out there, who's a decent defender, but he's a bit older. So I like Morant quite a bit in this matchup too. The 3 guys then I'm really looking at Morant, Gorgie Zhang, and Brandon Clark getting a boost without Jaren Jackson.
Yeah, for sure, definitely. On the Utah side of things, I mean, I think there's a couple guys here that I'm looking at as well. I'm gonna start. I'm not really gonna be too crazy on Gobert. I have been playing Gobert, but going against Valanciunas, I think it's a little bit more of a tough matchup. Now, if Valanciunas does end up getting in foul trouble, Gobert can definitely have a good game. I think for me, he's strictly GPP. I like Mike Conley coming in at this price, 6,200, playing right around 30 minutes. I think him and Donovan Mitchell are going to be my favorite two plays. Every time they play, every time the Jazz are playing well, it's usually because Mike Conley, Donovan Mitchell are definitely balling. Both coming in at very fair price tags. But I'm liking Mike Conley a little bit more. 6,200. You need 30 for value. Another guy I'm looking at, you got Royce O'Neal. He's in that starting lineup now, playing around 30 minutes. At 5,000, I mean, you just need for him to get you 5x to give you some hit value for you. And I definitely think he's a guy that can give you upside of 35. And you got to think about it too. You got this Utah team, a little bit more experienced playoff kind of tested team already going against a younger Memphis team. I think that they're going to have a good game here. And there's going to be their stars, man. It's going to be Mitchell. It's going to be Conley. And then the other guy that I definitely got to mention, I mean, this guy's just been absolutely balling. You got Jordan Clarkson coming off the bench. I've been playing that guy night in and night out. I'm going to continue to play him. His price just hasn't went up, and he has definitely kind of been all over the place. But I like the upside here. And like I said, if this Utah team does get on this Memphis team, I think that Clarkson could definitely get a couple more minutes as well. So Clarkson's a guy that I'm looking at off the bench. But that's really where I'm at. I'm just really going to stick with their main guys. And like I said, Jordan Clarkson, 4,500.
I like that. I like that game to go over the over under, man. I think that game, a Memphis team I think that they play fast. I like this game a lot.
Yeah, for sure. So we got Denver going against San Antonio.
So this is look. The cool thing is there's late swap, right? Because Monte Morris is definitely for the entire season has been the biggest beneficiary to Jamal Murray not playing. Look, he's coming off a game where he scored 17 points. He had 30.8 fantasy points. You've got no Will Barton there. You've got no Gary Harris. So you look at this team and they're pretty banged up. The one thing is Jokic, and I've said this since the season started. The problem with Jokic this year is Jamal Murray. When Jamal Murray plays, he takes the assists away from Jokic, and Jokic doesn't fill up the stat sheet. The first two games, their first two seeding games.
Right. Yeah, man, for sure.
It's Jokic, and then you look at Monte Morris. I would say that you could try to play Jamal Murray here, but I just don't see any reason to play Jamal Murray. It's Jokic, and then the last guy I'll give you is Michael Porter. Talked about this guy in the very beginning of the season. He was one of my favorite rookies. 37 actual game points in 43 minutes against Oklahoma City for 55 fantasy points. This guy has to step up with all the holes they have. No Will Barton, no Gary Harris, Jamal Murray banged up. So that's kind of the three guys I'm looking at.
Yeah, I mean, on the Spurs side of things, there's definitely a couple guys. You got to start with their main guy. You got DeMar DeRozan. If they're going to be competitive night in and night out, it starts with him, man. They need him to be an all-star. Coming off a really good game against Philadelphia where he scored 30 points. The guy, he does average 22 points, 5 rebounds, 5 assists at 8,000 price tag. I think he's always more of a GPP play for me just because, he tends to kind of just stay on the outside and shoot the ball. But he's their best player. You got to look at him. I definitely would go Donovan Mitchell over him personally. And you're going to save a little bit of money on Donovan Mitchell, a guy we talked about in the last game. DeJounte Murray's a guy I really like at 6,500. It's always been a problem with minutes with him. Right now, he's playing right around 30 minutes, has fresh legs. I think he's a guy you can look at. Jacob Podol, he's taken over that center spot, and he's definitely been playing pretty well. He's a guy that continues to be pretty cheap at only 5,400. He gives you a little bit of upside, but I think he's more kind of a value saver, so you can kind of pay up elsewhere. And then the last guy I like Rudy Gay. I think Rudy Gay is a guy you can look at, 4,600. Like I said, they need scoring, and he's a guy that can definitely score the ball. It's all about minutes with him. If he's going to play 27, 28 minutes, I think this is a great price. One guy I got to mention too, he's been playing very well. Derek White, 6,000. I mean, he's getting a ton of minutes in that shooting guard spot, and he gives us some upside. He showed us a 51 fantasy point, 44 fantasy point game recently. So the guy at 6,000 gives us a little bit of upside. Me personally, I'm going to be honest with you. I'm not really too interested in San Antonio as a whole, though. There's some guys you can look at, kind of differentiate yourself a little bit. Moving on, next game we're going to talk about. We got Philadelphia going against Washington.
I think this kind of starts the list of games that on paper shouldn't even be close. You look at Philadelphia, you look at Washington. Immediately, you want to load up Joel Embiid, $9,500 on FanDuel. But I mean, Joel Embiid on paper should absolutely demolish Washington. I mean, yeah, Thomas Bryant's a good young player, but he's not a guy who can match up with Joel Embiid night in and night out. Probably the only guy that I'm not looking to get exposure to in this spot is Al Horford. But I love Josh Richardson. He's probably my favorite play on the entire slate. $4,700. We know what Josh Richardson can do. I think this game, the tempo of this game matches Josh Richardson's game. So, yeah, Ben Simmons is 8,000. Embiid, he's a solid play. You could look at Al Horford and Tobias Harris if you want to. But to me, I think the best value in this game is definitely Josh Richardson at 4,700. I'm going to keep it simple because this is a game that could blow out pretty easy. And like I said, on paper, this game shouldn't even be close.
Yeah, so, I mean, what do you want me to tell you about Washington? There's a couple guys I think you can look at. You're looking at their young guys. You got Troy Brown. He's playing 30 minutes a game. He's getting a ton of shots. The guy does fill up the stat sheet, past 2 games. He's got you total of 17 rebounds, 16 assists, along with scoring the ball. So I think he's a guy you can look at 5,900. Another guy you can look at, the young guy, Hachimura, 6,300. The guy's playing, same amount of minutes. Troy Brown. They're kind of just letting their young guys play right now, and the guy definitely, he's another guy fills up the stat sheet, 6,300. I like those 2 guys. I mean, I would throw in Thomas Bryant because the guy he's a baller. I've been playing him. I like playing this guy, but going against Embiid, it's a little bit more of a tougher matchup, and I think he probably gets in foul trouble in this one. But you can look at him as a GPP option with some upside. But really, it's just, for me, it's Troy Brown and it's Hachimura. That's really where I'm at.
I will mention Shake Milton too, because Shake Milton's been a guy that I've been on the entire year. If the game does blow out, he could get some extra run. He played 19 and 25 minutes already in the 2 games, scored 16 points the last time out. So Milton's another guy that he could get some extra run, and we know what Shake Milton can do.
Yeah, and then, I mean, just, it's like you got Napier and you got Ish Smith. They're just splitting minutes, so you just kind of move on from there. Next game we're going to talk about, we got OKC going against the Lakers.
And I don't like this game from the Oklahoma City standpoint. I mean, this is a game that on paper probably shouldn't be close, but I think Oklahoma City has enough parts with Chris Paul and Galigius Alexander, Gallinari, Steven Adams. You can look at the power forward spot when they're doing so well. He can do some things. On paper, this game shouldn't be a close game. The Lakers should dominate this game, especially the way they've been playing. But we've seen the Lakers, look at the Clipper game. They struggle closing it out, 10, 12-point leads, and then all of a sudden the Clippers find themselves back into it. So from a production side, you could look at Chris Paul because he's probably the only guy that doesn't have a solid matchup. But if LeBron James is going to guard him, then Galigius Alexander might be able to get loose a little bit. I just don't like the Oklahoma City side of it. I love the fact that, and you'll talk about the Lakers, but for me, this game is, can it stay close enough so that the Lakers can get value? That's kind of why I like this game. Yeah. Not the parts of Oklahoma City.
I mean, on the Lakers side, I mean, it's pretty simple. You go with the main 2 guys. You got LeBron, 10.1. He can get you value any night and definitely has some upside. It's LeBron, MVP candidate. You guys' teammate, same thing. Anthony Davis, 10.5. He had a dud 2 nights ago. Came out and just balled against Utah. Anthony Davis he's a walking bucket. Definitely like both of those guys. I think they're both easy plays. But I'm with you. It could turn into a blowout, and they may not get value. That's the scary thing about it. But if you're going to tell me they're both going to play 32 minutes, definitely like them here. I think it's a pretty good spot for them. Outside of that, a couple guys you can also look at. You can look at Kyle Kuzma, 4,700. That's really where I'm at with the Lakers, though. I mean, if you're going to tell me this is going to blow out and the stars are going to sit the fourth quarter. You can also throw in possibly a guy like Caruso or Deion Waiters as almost bare minimum GPP plays, kind of fill out your roster. But yeah, we're digging too deep. Just stick with their main guys: LeBron, AD, Kuzma off the bench.
I will tell you this though, bro. You mentioned Deion Waiters. I will play a couple lineups tomorrow that will have Josh Richardson and Deion Waiters as a shooting guard. It's not a deep position tomorrow. Shooting guard. I think you can
Right.
definitely get a lot of value out of those two dudes tomorrow.
Yeah, for sure, bro. Next game we got Toronto going against Orlando to face the Met.
Another one.
Yep.
Another one, right? On paper, should this game really be close? Toronto's a far superior team than Orlando is. I mean, you have to like Kyle Lowry. I just don't like the price, $7,900. Kyle Lowry is doing Kyle Lowry. He had the monster game against the Lakers, 33, 14, and 6. Still played 35 minutes against Miami, but only 14, 8, and 5. And that's going to be the way that it's going to be hit or miss. It's really matchup dependent. And this type of game, the way Orlando plays with an Aaron Gordon and with the Vucevic, I could really see this being a Siakam and this being a Kyle Lowry type game because of the fact that it's a mismatch when you look at the point guard position with Lowry against Augustine or Fultz. So I think that we've liked to use centers in the past against Orlando and Vucevic because of the way Vucevic defends. He kind of stays out of the paint a little bit, but that bodes well for Lowry. So $7,900 for Lowry. I'm not fond of the price tag on this slate, but I do think this is a place where Lowry could possibly get you a triple-double.
Yeah, I mean, on the Orlando side of things, if it does stay close, I mean, this is a pretty competitive Orlando team. They do got some dudes. So I think that if it does stay close, you're looking at their main guys, man. I mean, you got to start with Vucevic. And then at 7,800, I think that he's a very fair price tag. Aaron Gordon is just coming in too cheap at 6,100, coming off a couple straight games of really solid games. You got Fournier at 5,300. I think that he's a guy that you can look at. I'm not really messing with the DJ Augustine, Markelle Fultz situation. The only other guy I'll look at coming off the bench is Terrence Ross. He's the guy that comes in, gets his 28 minutes a game, gets his 10 to 12 shots, and at a very fair price tag, 5,100. Especially if this game blows out, he can get some extended run off that bench. So I think you can look at him as well. But stick with their main guys for sure. Last game we'll talk about, we got Brooklyn going against Boston.
Brooklyn pulls the upset off today with Milwaukee doing, I don't know what Milwaukee decided to do, but I want to say that Giannis and Middleton didn't play the second half and Bledsoe played like 4.5 minutes. Is that right?
Yeah, I've seen something like that.
So, they're 1-2, Brooklyn that is, coming into this game. I mean, on paper, this shouldn't be close. You've got no Karis LeVert. You've got no Jared Allen. And like you said, right, going into this, nobody had been hit harder by coronavirus than the Brooklyn Nets. No Joe Harris. I mean, the list kind of goes on and on, right? We know that they had guys who opted out and guys who opted out before they even went there, and now they've got guys hurt. So one guy that I definitely think you can take a look at, though, is Timothy Luwawu-Cabarrot. I mean, this guy in this game today, 26 real points, only 31 fantasy points, so he's a bit dependent on scoring. But the first game that they played, he played 21 minutes against Orlando, had 24 actual points for 31 fantasy points. So the guy can score. It's just a matter of, is he going to get run, right? And you look at how shorthanded they are. I think I think that the Cabaret is a guy that can get some run. So also what you want to check, though, before this happens is Jamal Crawford, right? If Crawford, I mean, he only played 5 minutes. I know that it was kind of, he needed to get in shape first, and then he played 5 minutes today and left with a hamstring injury. So watch that. But Cabaret, to me, seems like the clear-cut best play here because of his ability to score the basketball, and we've kind of seen him before. You could take a look at Tyler Johnson. Tyler Johnson is going to get run because of the fact that they're so thin. Played 29 minutes against Washington, 26 against Milwaukee. He's gotten run. And then the other guy that I think you could definitely look at is Rodions Kurucs. I mean, Kurucs, he's been a guy we've used in different scenarios in tournaments and in our cash games because of value when certain guys have been out. They don't have big guys. And he played 28 minutes against Milwaukee for 21 fantasy points. Not a great points per minute guy, but if you need value to get the LeBron and AD stack or to get some of these higher priced guys, there is some value in this game with Kurucs and Cabaret. That's kind of where I'm at with it. And to me, the shooting guard position, I'm just going to say this before I let you finish up. The shooting guard position on this slate is the place to pay down and save money, especially with the three guys that we've mentioned. and Cabaret and in what's his name? Who did I mention? Josh Richardson. So
Right.
there's guys that pay down for it, that shooting guard position.
All right, bro. So while we're talking about that position, one of that position is already a lock tomorrow. So you only have to pick one guy. You got Marcus Smart starting for Kimba. Kimba's out for a rest tomorrow. 30. He's going to play 35 plus minutes at 5,800. Kimba. I mean, Marcus.
But at what price? At what price?
5,700.
At 5,800, right? So that's what I'm
Yeah.
saying. Like that's the true. Like that's your value place as shooting guard. He's a lock.
Yeah, you got Marcus Smart. I mean, he started last time for Kimba against Brooklyn, 47 fantasy points, 14, 6, and 10. So I like him. I mean, that's an easy play. That's one of those you just kind of move on once. I mean, so I do like him. That's kind of where I'll start. Outside of Marcus Smart, I mean, you can look at Tatum. Tatum's, is going to be Tatum. Jaylen Brown's a guy that I'm really liking that's been coming in and he's been playing very well. He's a guy that I think is a very, very fair price tag. At 6,600. I mean, come on! It's the Tatum show. It's the Brown show. Smart gets his. Kimba gets his. I mean, that's really where it's at. I gotta like Jaylen Brown here. Like I said, I talked about Tatum as well. It's like I said, it's their main guys. Outside of them, I mean, do you have any interest in like do you think this game is going to stay close, or do you think this game's going to get out of hand?
I don't know, man. Brooklyn. I don't know. I mean, it just depends on what Boston does, right? If Boston does what Milwaukee did and kind of pull everybody in the second half, then yeah, it's going to get competitive. And you could look at a guy like your boy, our boy, actually, Enes Kanter at 4,000, right?
That's what I'm asking. Because I was going to say Kanter. I was going to say
Kanter just seems like a tasty play tomorrow. Yep.
Right. Even like Wanamaker, he's a guy that's going to play a bunch of minutes as a backup and get a lot of run, especially if it blows out. So, I mean, like I said, Boston, all 5 of their starters are in play. They're all very fair price tag for the most part. And then, yeah, Kanter, possibly Wanamaker, if you feel this game's going to be a blowout. That's really where I'm at, man.
The sneakiest play to me across the board and on the entire slate is Gordon Hayward.
Hayward? Yeah. No,
I think he's the sneakiest play.
They're all fair price tag. So even if it blows up, they're going to get somewhat close to value. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, hey, that's really where we're at with the video tonight. Hey, if you guys do want to check out any of our content, make sure to check out the website, dfscheatsheet.com. We got our luxury box package right now, $99. You get everything that we got on the site. Make sure to check that out. And, hey, good luck, guys. Peace out.